Samuel chapter 1. And there was one man from Ramathaim Zophim, from Mount Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. Upon reading verses 1, one would think Elkanah is from the tribe of Ephraim, but he was actually a Levite. He was one of the 48 male prophets whose prophecies were recorded for future generations. Elkanah, who was a Levite, was living in the province of Ephraim, where cities were granted to the Levite family of Kehath. We see this stated in Joshua chapters 21, verses 5. We are told Elkanah lived in Ramathaim Zophim. Ramah in Hebrew is a high point. Zophah means to look. So Ramathaim Zophim literally means two heights looking at one another, meaning Elkanah lived on one of two hills separated by a valley. There is 5 generations of lineage listed. Elkanah's father was Jeroham, his grandfather was Elihu, his great-grandfather was Tohu, and his great-great-grandfather was Zuph. He is given the title an Ephraimite, meaning a distinguished person, a high-standing, important person. Let us put this in our spirit, because we'll draw from this later. Verses 2. And he had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, and the name of the second was Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. Hannah was married to Elkanah first for 10 years with no children. So Hannah urged Elkanah to take a second wife. She was following the example of Sarah, who gave Hagar as a wife to Abraham when she could not have children. Sarah did this because she said, "Perhaps I will be built up from her, and then I also could have children." Hannah was doing the same. Elkanah then married Peninnah as a second wife, and she began to have children immediately, 10 children in total. Verses 3. And that man will ascend from his city from appointed time to appointed time, to prostrate himself to slaughter peace offerings to the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And there the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were serving the Lord. Elkanah observed the feast days of the Lord with his family yearly. 3 times yearly he made the pilgrimage. From Ramathaim Zophim, where Elkanah lives, to Shiloh was not that long of a distance. Shiloh was the place where the Mishkan was situated. This was the tabernacle that was built by Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses our teacher, in the desert, and it traveled with Israel for 39 years. When they entered the land, the Mishkan went with them and became the temporary Beit HaMikdash, where someone would go and offer a sacrifice. It seems that we are singling out Elkanah for going to Shiloh, if you should pay close attention to the text. It also seems Israel had stopped coming to Shiloh year after year, and this had something to do with Eli's 2 sons, and that's the reason why they are mentioned here in verses 3. And that man will ascend from his city from appointed time to appointed time to prostrate himself to slaughter peace offerings to the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. And there the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were serving the Lord. The reason why the 2 sons of Eli are mentioned here is because they may have been the reason why people were not making this yearly trip like they were supposed to. It seems the 2 sons of Eli did not conduct themselves well, which in turn discouraged the annual pilgrimage. Regardless, Elkanah who is said was an Ephraimite, a distinguished person, a high-standing, important person, still made the feast annually. And through him, God is going to fix this problem of lack of authentic leadership. Because our leaders are out of order, doesn't mean we should abandon God's instruction. Verses 4. And when it was the day, and Elkanah slaughtered peace offerings, and he would give to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and daughters portions. And to Hannah he would give one choice portion, for he loved Hannah, and the Lord had shut up her womb. Elkanah gives Hannah a double portion, an extra portion, or a better portion. And this was to express his love for her and also to relieve her sadness for not having children. Because the Lord had shut her womb, Elkanah was trying to compensate Hannah by giving her a double, extra, or better portion to show his affection. Notice that it wasn't Satan that had shut her womb. It was the Lord that did that. Verse 6. And her rival would frequently anger her in order to make her complain, for the Lord has shut up her womb. Peninnah's intentions here were righteous by not allowing Hannah to make peace with her condition. She acted for the sake of heaven, but she may have gone overboard. Verse 7. And so he would do year by year, as often as she went up to the house of the Lord, so she would anger her, and she wept and would not eat. Year by year, Elkanah went to Shiloh, and year after year, Peninnah would provoke Hannah. The more Elkanah showed his love to Hannah, the more Peninnah would provoke her. The amount of sensitivity that is needed for a couple, and more so for a woman going through the crisis of infertility, is vast. It cannot even be described. As stated earlier, Peninnah was acting for the sake of heaven, but good intentions does not justify cruel tactics. Peninnah went overboard on such a very sensitive crisis. Every year, Hannah came to Shiloh, and every year she would leave without an answer. Why was she not getting an answer to her prayers? Elkanah gives us a hint to what was causing Hannah's prayers from not being answered in verses 8. Let's read carefully and pay close attention. Verses 8. And Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? And why do you not eat? And why is your heart sad? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? Elkanah mentions 3 things. These are 3 instructions Hannah was breaking. 3 commandments, 3 mitzvot that Hannah was breaking. Number 1, he said, why do you weep? We are commanded to be happy at the festivals, at the feast of the Lord. We are commanded to be happy. Number 2, he said, why do you not eat? It is a command to eat from the offerings that we bring during the feast of the Lord. Number 3, he said, why are you sad? We are commanded to rejoice on the feast days. These 3 things were preventing Hannah from getting an answer from God. She was breaking these 3 commandments. And because she was breaking these commandments, these mitzvot, her prayers were not being answered. One thing we should also notice is that Hannah's response to Elkanah was silence. The text doesn't say she said anything. She was just silent. Am I not better to you than 10 sons? Elkanah asks. The reference of the 10 children here is where the idea of Peninnah having 10 children by Elkanah comes from. Elkanah is trying to tell Hannah, sure, Peninnah gave me 10 children, but I gave myself to you. Am I not better to you than 10 sons? This is what Elkanah is asking. Chapter 9. And Hannah arose after eating and after drinking, and Eli the priest was sitting on the chair beside the doorpost of the temple of the Lord. Hannah's spirit arose, meaning she arose in a spiritual sense. She had just fulfilled God's instructions concerning the feast. She had eaten a holy meal. She was at a holy place, Shiloh. She goes to the tabernacle and saw Eli, the great and holy leader of the people. All these allowed her to rise spiritually so that her prayer would be accepted. On the feast days, portals are thrown open, and it's only those who have a good understanding of the feasts of the Lord that benefit from it.